The Arizona Diamondbacks take 2 out of 3 from the Colorado Rockies, and I need someone to explain to me why I still feel so bad about it. We have our guy Dalton Feely here to hopefully help me figure it out, and hopefully we can figure out what exactly is wrong with Zac Gallen. All of this in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome into another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast right here on PHNX, right here in Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX, and I just got dropped off a wonderful present that further confirms my mayoral status, and you guys are sneaky. I'm going to figure out which one of you did this. On the ones and twos, we got our guy, Large Intimate Kevin Thomas here. Kevin, how are you doing on this wonderful Monday?
Feeling good, feeling great, Derek. It's a good day to be alive in Phoenix on a Monday.
Yeah, baby. Well, I'll tell you, it's also good to be the mayor because somebody Espo just comes in here and casually drops this off for me. That somebody in our diehard world made this for me, a nameless, faceless hero. Somebody who made my dreams and wishes and hopes come true. Look, they even got my number right. They got my number right. There's a hat too. I need to brag about this. I need to figure out who did all this. I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear it like Jacob Fatu wears his. You know,
like a real man should, fashionably.
Yada I mean.
Yada I mean.
We're wearing it like this. And we're bringing in our guy, Dalton. Let's get Dalton Feely in here because I want to brag about this. Dalton, what do you think of my beautiful accoutrements?
I mean, I would love to be your Watson and figure out to your Sherlock Holmes who sent this to you, because whoever did, a very generous act. Fantastic jersey, the hat, the numbers.
It's a work of art.
It looks great.
Look at this thing. I already knew this jersey was beautiful. I never had any hopes maybe of owning my own with the mayor on the back like that, but somebody made it happen. And whoever it is a generous, wonderful, loving, caring person who's absolutely the best. And I'm going to get that on later. But we have a lot to talk about, Dalton. And the purple definitely reminds me of what we just saw this weekend. There was still a very confusing moment for me where both teams were on the field doing batting practice, both wearing purple hats. This is and then they both wore, the military hats, and that made it even more confusing later. But the Diamondbacks win the Battle of Purple, I guess you could say. They take 2 out of 3 here from the Rockies. But maybe help me figure this out. Why do I feel so bad about only taking 2 out of 3? I said on Friday, maybe on Thursday, that if you don't sweep the series against a team that is, in the downward spiral that the Rockies are, you can't really consider it to be a huge win. However, taking 2 out of 3 against any baseball team is a win, and I should feel better about this.
No, I'm going to be a pessimist here too, because quite frankly, it's Derek, in the fashion that they lost to the team who's on pace to be the worst team since the expansion era of MLB history. Yeah. It is unfathomable that they lost that game on Saturday, which I would like to point out. I've missed 3 games this year. The last 2 games that I've missed, I can get blamed for, because it was the 14-12 game where the Diamondbacks lose for the first time in franchise history, scoring 12-plus runs. And the game prior to that was Eugenio Suarez's 4 home run game.
Oh, no, Dalton. No.
So it's like a sign from God that if I miss a Diamondbacks game, something bad's going to happen.
Well, and I think that's the frustration with a lot of people. Right? This team historically has not lost very many games when they've scored 10 runs or more, and they've done that a few times this season. They do improve to 25-22. This is their 7th series win of the season, but it's that 14-12 loss on Saturday. It really is. Not only was it a Zac Gallen loss, which we'll get to here shortly, but let's look at when Sarah Langs talks about a we. This isn't what I imagine as a we, but let's take a look at that win probability chart from Saturday night, because at one point at this very, very tip of the red side for the Diamondbacks down at the bottom. The Diamondbacks had a 96% win probability of winning this game. And of course, things took a dramatic turn. The bullpen blew up. Zac Gallen wasn't good in this one, but again, the Diamondbacks were able to battle back and put up enough runs. And the way that Dalton looks there is exactly how most of us felt watching that game. It was unbelievable how that game went. And often, especially in a 14-12 loss, you have a lot of things to blame it on, right? I don't think that there is much you can blame it on besides the pitching in this game. You have to blame it on Zac Gallen. You have to blame it on the bullpen. The Diamondbacks defense, hasn't been the stellar defense we know it to be, but they had 4 straight errorless games. So this wasn't a factor of making defensive errors. This was just the bullpen and Gallen both giving up a lot of runs.
Yeah, and Torrey post game had tried to defend his guys by saying, like, these guys the Rockies can mash, they can bang, they can hit the ball around the park. Quite frankly, and the way Torrey said it, he was saying the right things that you say to the media, but that was the most frustrated I've seen him after a loss in a long time. Even more frustrated than that Cubs game. Like, it was like the most agonizing I've seen Torrey post game. It was heartbreaking.
Because the Cubs are a good team, right? The Cubs are a good team. The Rockies aren't. And again, the Rockies can get ahead, but that they're going to make enough mistakes that there's no reason for you not to be able to battle back into it. And they did battle back. They just gave it right back to the Rockies there in the 6th and the 7th inning with 7 runs in those 2 innings.
I mean, it's a Zac Gallen start. You're going into the series with your 3 dogs on the mound, and Corbin Burns, Zac Gallen, and Merrill Kelly facing the worst team in baseball. You should be winning all 3 of those games. You should be winning all 3 of those games. That is the expectation. It's not like you were playing a team contending for a division title here or who's going to make the playoffs. Like they had their previous, I think, 16-game stretch where they went 8-8 prior to the Rockies series. That's a way different story when you're playing teams like that. You want, like, if you're 500 above, you're totally fine. When you're playing a dumpster fire team, no disrespect to the Colorado Rockies, but quite frankly, they are as big of a dumpster fire as one team gets, arguably just as bad, if not worse, as the 2024 White Sox. And all the jokes were being made about the White Sox because they were bad last year, just like this Rockies team. You have to win those games.
I had to make Kevin ding me on Friday night show because I felt like I was saying the Rockies were a bad team entirely too often. And I was like, I need to pump my brakes here. Make sure you ding me on this. And he had to ding me more than once because it's hard not to witness the team that I witnessed on Friday night and not say this is a bad baseball team. It was to a point that watching them as the opposition in the 8-0 loss in game 1 that I was like, I'm frustrated for them. Not often, considering that I now do this as a job where I'm allowed to be a bit more of a fan. I'm allowed to be a bit more invested than I was when I was just, covering for Arizona sports. This is one of those situations where, like, I typically want the Diamondbacks to go out there and kick a team's ass. And after a while, I was seeing a team that had completely given up. I saw a team that was not even trying in that baseball game anymore. And it was also an 8-0 game at one point. So you're probably going to give up a little bit as an opposing team that only has 7 wins this season. And again, hasn't really found much success in coming back against, big deficits like that. You're already waiting for this game to be over, but it was frustrating to see how little of effort I felt like they were putting in on that game. And then you go to Saturday and they put in all the effort and they win by a score of 14-12. What's wild is, let's take a look at the numbers here presented by our friends at Desert Financial. These are the numbers for the series. The Rockies got shut out in 2 out of these 3 games, Dalton. 2 out of these 3 games, and the final tally here for the runs in the 3-game series is 21-14.
It's a football score.
It's a football score. It's a crazy
Cardinals
football
beat the
score.
Broncos.
You have the Rockies out hitting the Diamondbacks in home runs 5-3. Outrageous. The Diamondbacks, once again, absolutely awful with runners in scoring position. 9 for 41 in the series. That's what you expect out of the Rockies. 5 for 14. They didn't even have a lot of opportunities, and they did a decent job of converting the ones they got. Most of those were from that game, though. The Rockies here, actually, they were 5 for 18 on that one. 5 for 18. But they had 12 opportunities. They were 5 for 12 in that game, too. And then, again, starting ERA, bad for the Diamondbacks. Relief ERA, bad for the Diamondbacks. And not Wait, hold on. Go back to that. Kevin,
That kid-
we had a 3
What'd I do?
ERA. These are switched. The Dbacks had a 3 starting ERA
my bad,
and an
chat. My bad,
8.48.
chat.
So
My bad,
okay,
chat.
I was
My
like,
bad,
wait,
chat.
there was something mixed there. The
Let's
Rockies
say,
were the ones with the 8.48 ERA, and the Diamondbacks were the ones with the 3. The reason why is because the Diamondbacks had a shutout in 2 out of those 3 games. Once again, 6 innings pitched, 7 innings pitched on the bookends of the series. But then we have Zac Gallen there in the middle, giving up 6 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. And is Zac Gallen broken? I mean, what the hell was that? I mean, I know obviously he was having a hard time establishing his fastball, but it feels like that at this point, Gallen should be able to find ways to still pitch around that kind of issue. Maybe I'm being too judgy as a pudgy guy sitting here on the sidelines.
Well, you know who I am. I got my 2 things. First off, you're not pudgy. Let me go back to that. Second off, I'm a fan at heart. My emotions, I wear them quite frankly on the screen for sure, whether it's through here or through social media apps.
For sure.
But I'm also a numbers guy too. And I think a couple numbers that really stand out for me for Zac Gallen and doing research. Number one, hitters have swung at 42% of Zac Gallen's pitches this season. That's the lowest among qualified starting pitchers. So he is not getting hitters to swing at pitches when he's in the zone, when he's out of the zone to chase. That is a problem. That's why we've seen Zac Gallen rise, his pitch count go up and up and up. And I don't have the numbers in front of me for this component of it, but when Gallen swings the bat, when hitters swing the bat against Gallen, it seems like they do big damage. He gives up 4 home runs on Saturday against a team that has 7 wins at that point. The second number that's big for Zac Gallen, first pitch in the zone percent, 49%. That's second lowest among National League starters. So again, he's not throwing first pitch strikes, and he's not getting batters to swing at his early pitches at early counts. Those are 2 red flags. That's going to cause him to not go deep into this game, which means the bullpen has to come in earlier. And we know how that bullpen's been since the month of May. It's been a problem, and I really hope he's not broken. It's just been a brutal, brutal stretch for Zac Gallen and this Diamondbacks bullpen. And when those 2 line up, it ain't pretty.
Mark in the chat says Gallen's curveball is his only good pitch this year, but no matter how good a curveball is, it'll get crushed if a guy sits on it. That's a great point. He threw the curveball quite a bit in comparison to how much he normally throws it. He threw 25 curveballs in that outing, and you're right. He only got 6 whiffs. 4 of them were on the curveball, 2 on the fastball. His fastball was maxing out at on average at 92.8. The fastest pitch he threw was 94.9. But yeah, that average there of 92.8 is definitely not going to cut it. And again, that's the big reason why he wasn't having success in the zone. He wasn't really didn't have a lot of induced vertical break on his pitches. Like this is not the Zac Gallen we know. And obviously a big part of it is establishing that fastball, being able to get ahead in counts. He's been behind in counts quite a bit. And it's just, there's just, I don't know. I mean, a lack of confidence, it feels like at times in Zac Gallen. Maybe just that fastball not being there for him is the biggest problem here.
Yeah, and it's funny that we mentioned that fastball for Zac Gallen because earlier this season, Brandon Pfaadt had a little bit of a problem commanding that fastball, and it's kind of lingered on into the early portions of May too. So that's kind of been a stretch for the Diamondbacks pitchers. Corbin Burns in April, I mean, he could have been dealing with that shoulder inflammation that he got treated with the cortisone shot, but he was struggling with his cutter command too. So that's 3 of the 5 Diamondbacks pitchers that have had problems controlling one of their fastballs in the zone. And that's a major problem as a whole unit. And that's not even bringing up Eduardo Rodriguez, who has been, quite frankly, Jordan Montgomery 2.0. The entire rotation, though there's been bright spots between Merrill Kelly, Corbin Burns bouncing back, Brandon Pfaadt outside of those 2 starts, those 2 blow-up starts he's made this season, Zac Gallen is the guy, should be the guy. He got the ball on opening day for a reason. There was respect there. He's been a really good pitcher, especially in 22 and 23. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know if he's pitching through something. He just hasn't looked right. And it's like the chat had said, the fastball, something's not right with it, either mechanical, mental, something.
Well, and again, I think that we find out Erod was having some issues. There's a lot of debate. A lot of people in the chat probably today still are going to say it was a phantom IL stint, but it very well might be. I'm not going to disregard the fact that is something that sometimes Major League Baseball teams do. However, again, sometimes you find out there's an issue, and that issue is what's contributing to a player's lack of performance, right? Especially when you're talking about a drop in his velo, an inability to control his fastball, maybe just, a lack of confidence once again in it because of the aforementioned issues or something that doesn't feel right health-wise with him. But baseball players play through a lot of aches and pains, and I think that that's the biggest problem is that, these guys, unless they're legitimately injured, legitimately not feeling well, they're going to go out there and they're going to try to do their job. And until they get pulled or until something comes up that shows that they, shouldn't be pitching. I think that Zac has had enough incredible starts this year to maybe suggest that there's not something medically wrong with him, but it could be something just like fatigue, like shoulder fatigue, like we saw out of Erod. Not exactly sure what it is, but I still believe in Gallen, and I think that this is still an incredibly important season for him. Perhaps at the end of the day, maybe the pressure of this being a contract year for him is making things a bit more difficult, maybe just mentally on him. And again, a lot of expectations there, and a lot of things on the line for him personally to perform well this season.
And you spend more time around him as a media member because you're in Arizona. And I'm not, but we're both rooting for Zac Gallen outside of us being fans of the team. Like, Zac Gallen is a really well-respected guy. Right. Everyone wants him to do well, right, not just for the team and perform, but for him to get his bag and get what he deserves, because he has been a pretty darn good pitcher over the last few seasons in the desert. And it just thinks that in terms of his worst season statistically, it's been this season, the season where it's not to say all or nothing, but you can lose a few $1 million, if not even more, depending on how you pitch. So for the sake of the team, for the sake of him, for the sake of all of us as fans watching the Arizona Diamondbacks, we all want Zac Gallen to bounce back and be the guy he's been in the past.
And I mean, again, it's you're absolutely right. I think deep down, at the end of the day, that's how I feel for all these guys. As much as I want them to come back to the Diamondbacks, I want them to get the money that they deserve, especially considering that we all know how difficult a baseball player's path is to those riches that are a little easier to access when you're in a different sport, right? Kind of have to be with an organization for a long time and either get that payday through a contract extension or become a free agent and go out there and get that money, right? And so on one side, I want that for Zac, and I feel like he deserves it. And I think that it sucks that this one season could impact the overall view on him as being an elite pitcher. However, I also don't hate the fact that if he doesn't perform well, this might impact perhaps the Diamondbacks' ability to retain him. And at the end of the day, I want to see Zac Gallen shove. But what would really make my heart sore is to see Zac Gallen continue to shove for the Diamondbacks. I know at the end of the day, that's probably maybe a little selfish. You know what I mean? Like that the fact that he's not pitching well might bring down his value enough that the Diamondbacks can afford him. However, I will say that Gallen has been a very special part of this organization. The Diamondbacks parted ways with Jazz Chisholm, a very special player, to get Zac Gallen, and you could say that it has very much worked out for the Diamondbacks in that time frame, considering what Gallen has done. But again, he's not the only problem. The bullpen also blew things up, and to be fair, it wasn't even like it was guys that Torey Lovullo hasn't been able to trust this year. You had Jalen Beeks giving up, I think, 4 earned runs in that game. You had Ryan Thompson allowing another 3 earned runs. These are guys that typically so far this season have been fairly reliable, and guys that you wouldn't think would go out there and really blow it against a team like the Rockies. However, they are still a Major League Baseball team. They still have pride, and they did the thing against the bullpen for sure.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how the Diamondbacks use their bullpen over the next couple of weeks. With J-Mark coming back, hopefully next series, because he's not getting activated prior to the Dodgers series. It has been the struggle bus. We have been riding on it. A 6.87 ERA on nearly 58 innings in the month of May. It's the worst ERA in the National League. It's not pretty. And like you said, Ryan Thompson, a guy who was so reliable in 2023 and most of 2024, has really struggled this year. Something that we all know Ryan Thompson as is he's a guy who induces contact, gets ground balls, turns double plays. The one red flag stat and siren that's going off in my head right now, Ryan Thompson, with runners in scoring position this year, is allowing a near 1.4 OPS. It's the worst among National League relievers this season. For a guy who induces contact, That is not pretty, and that is quite frankly not acceptable. And when you're pitching in a high leverage role, I know he's been the guy. I think if the results continue as they've been for Ryan Thompson, I think there's a world where he's not pitching in those high leverage situations anymore because right now he's not getting the results.
Right. And then he just has these odd outings where he goes out there and absolutely saves the day. And you know, that's the thing about it is he can also be that. It just, you know, it's just not consistent. And like you said, in 2023, he was, you know, he was that reliever that the Diamondbacks seem to add every year. That is just surprisingly good, right? And then you could say Shelby Miller and Jalen Beeks were those guys for this team this year, but he was definitely that for this team in 2023. But we will need that. We'll need the bullpen. We'll need a lot from these guys for this upcoming series with the Dodgers. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. So you stick around. Dalton, you stick around. Don't you guys go anywhere. Watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Of course, LinkedIn is the place that you need to go if you are a small business and you are looking to hire. You have a lot of things on your plate as a small business owner. And of course, your business is on your mind 24 hours, 7 days a week. What you need is somebody to help you find qualified candidates to help your business be successful. And LinkedIn is that place. You can either post your job for free or you can pay to promote it. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified candidates. And at the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of the candidates. With LinkedIn, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small businesses using LinkedIn says that LinkedIn helps them find high quality candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Dbacks. That's linkedin.com/Dbacks to post your jobs for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Of course, Game Time is a life hack for unlocking amazing seats and experiences for a great price. The NFL schedule just dropped, and I know a lot of people want to not only get down on those home games, but you want to start scheduling maybe some road trip games as well. Game Time makes scoring NFL tickets faster and easier than ever. With exclusive discounts, you'll find great seats for as low as $100. The Game Time guarantee means you'll get 100% authentic NFL tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. Also, of course, it's the official ticketing partner of the PHNX Diamondbacks show, and use it to go get Diamondbacks tickets as well. You can make last-minute ticket buying easier than ever by using Game Time Picks, which will select the best ticket options available in the stadium for any given event. And of course, you don't have to just watch sporting events. You can get down on concerts and all sorts of other events as well. Game Time ticket coverage make sure that you know that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Kevin, what time is it?
Game time! Yada me!
Wow, that was a lot. I like that though. I like that energy.
Got to bring the energy for Game Time, Derek.
Yeah, you got to bring that energy.
This is Game Time. This ain't those other ticketing services where we don't really have no energy. This is a ton of energy. Yada me.
Yeah, we don't get ready. We stay ready around here, and we need to because the Los Angeles Dodgers series starts tonight. And I know we already have a Mailbag Monday question about it, but Dalton, I also feared the same thing that one of the people wrote into us fears, and that is now that the Dodgers got swept by the Angels, how mad are they going to be? How mad are they? How angry are they going to play? I mean, is this a great opportunity for the Diamondbacks to go out there and take advantage of an overly aggressive team, perhaps? That might be a good game plan because it feels like the Dodgers are going to go try to put up 3 home runs in every single at-bat starting tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the way I'm looking at it, the Dodgers got swept at home for the first time since 2023. And it's to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who are not, quite frankly, not the worst team in the world, but not the best team either. No. And I think I attribute that a little bit, maybe a smidgen, to the Dodgers looking past them, knowing they have to play the Diamondbacks. I think they have some. I know they won the World Series last year, and it might be a little crazy to say. I think they still have a bad taste in their mouth from the 2023 season, being upset from the Diamondbacks.
Right?
Like the Diamondbacks are still the last team to knock them out of during a postseason, which Again, last year they won. They have a great taste from that, but there's still some bad blood from that 2023 series. And I think all these divisional games are going to matter. I know the Dodgers, you can basically write them in Sharpie that they're a playoff team, but they have an Achilles heel right now, and it's their starting pitching. I'm really curious. It has not been great. I believe Landon Knack, tonight's starter, is like their 13th starting pitcher they've used this season already.
I think we got our probable. We can take a look at that. Let's take a look at the probable pitchers starting tonight. Yep, you're right. We got Landon Knack in game 1, Yamamoto in game 2, who is obviously their ace, but somebody who the Diamondbacks had a good game plan against when we played them previously.
Yeah.
And then Dustin May there going in game 3.
So his hair is currently defying gravity in that graphic.
That's pretty good.
Corbin Burns, Dustin May rematch match, right? Didn't they face off last time against each other, and it was a little bit of a pitcher's duel?
Yeah, Corbin Burns, man. I mean, he's really looked good in his last couple of starts, especially since he came back from that brief, game off that he took. He's just been really, really good. But again, the Dodgers just always seem to have the Diamondbacks number a little bit here when it comes to, I guess, the pitchers you don't expect to have success against them, right? Like the Diamondbacks were able to get to Yamamoto, and then, like you said, it's a pitching duel with Dustin May.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch because the Diamondbacks have their struggles, especially in Dodger Stadium. I'm very happy Merrill Kelly's not starting in Dodger Stadium because we know the struggles he's had in his career at Dodger Stadium, though he's been very good this year. The Dodgers' Achilles heel has been the starting pitching. They have the fifth worst ERA in baseball. The bullpen is electric, but they've thrown the most innings in baseball. So maybe they're a little bit fatigued. Maybe they're a little bit tired. I'm trying to put this into the world, Derek.
I like this. I like this energy. I appreciate this.
Like they are not this team that is 162-0 type. Like this is a team that's had struggles in the rotation. Their bullpen's being taxed so far. That lineup is a very good lineup. It's still arguably the best lineup in baseball. Absolutely. When you have guys like Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, and then you have Tommy Edman contributing as he did towards the end of 2024. I'm excited because you know what? The Diamondbacks went 8-8 in that last 16-game stretch when playing all playoff teams going into the game. Like they are projected to be slotted into the playoffs. This is a challenge, and you're not going to have Kelly, you're not going to have Gallen pitch in this series, so you're going to have Burns, and then basically your 4-5s going. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this team maneuvers and navigates versus Dodgers lineup.
Well, and I think that it's helpful that the Diamondbacks at least have the confidence, knowing they split the first 4-game series with the Dodgers. However, I also think that you're looking at the fact that the Dodgers are going to probably approach this a little differently than they did the first time with the Diamondbacks. We know that the Diamondbacks bullpen right now probably don't have Jalen Beeks, Ginkel, or Graveman available tonight, but they will probably have the rest of the bullpen available. Shelby Miller definitely will be available for this team if he's called upon. But I mean, this is one of those things that you think back upon. Ketel Marte teeing off in against LA so far, and that home series he went 4 for 11 with a double, 3 home runs. We know Marte seems dialed in. Hopefully he can keep that going. I just need the Diamondbacks to have a good showing here. Like this is the end of this stretch against the NL West. Overall, they've done an adequate job. Like I'm not down on them about this. I think that they've won probably more than we thought they were going to win, considering how they were playing when they entered this 13-game stretch against the NL West. But we do have our updated standings for the division. And again, you have this pack, right, where if the Diamondbacks maybe had some of those games back, I believe somebody in the chat brought this up. It was a very good point. If the Diamondbacks have, those 3 games where they scored a whole bunch of runs, they get that game back where Geno hits 4 home runs, and those are wins instead of losses. Diamondbacks are tied with the Giants and right there in the mix of being a 19-loss team at this point. Those couple of games that kind of went sideways on them really are the difference between them being out and being more like right there in the middle with the rest of these teams.
Derek, and this is why I will say this every time. When people get mad at fans, baseball fans, losing it for their teams blowing games and like having these bad losses. And maybe other fans that aren't Diamondback fans might not have it as bad as we do in terms of these crazy 11-run games where they don't win.
Right.
You're allowed to freak out. You are allowed to freak out because every win does matter. I understand it's a 162 game series, but we saw it last year with the Diamondbacks. Every game matters, especially every game in the division too, where tiebreakers can come into effect. One of those games that we mentioned scoring 11 runs and losing was versus the Dodgers in a 6-run ninth inning. Ohtani did that frickin' bat flip, and there's that picture, which is the worst thing ever. What I'm dreaming for this series, I want Corbin Carroll, who did struggle in that 4-game set versus the Dodgers earlier this month. I would love for him to hit a 3-run, like a massive 3-run home run off of Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott being one of the hardest lefties to face in baseball in the bullpen. Carroll being one of the best left-handed batters in baseball. It would be amazing to see Corbin Carroll take him deep and have a Ohtani-esque moment and flip the script on the Dodgers. That's what I'm trying to put into this world, Derek. That would be electric.
That's why the world needs you. That's why the world needs more Dalton Feely, because you put that positive energy out there. And also then you leave it all on the court out there for the warehouse games, and you never, you show the effort that everyone should be putting in when you're out there playing. Kevin.
Speaking of Jomboy and the warehouse games and just everything going on at that great media outlet, you know what I'm saying? Sean in the chat asked earlier, and I'm not going to grab it. ETA on the lip reading? Do we got an update here?
Everybody wants the Torey Lovullo lip reading from Jimmy.
So I do want to say a little back end story for this. Derek, shout out to you for getting the footage of Torey saying that, because I texted it to Jim. You texted it to me. I texted it to Jimmy, and he's like, "Oh, damn, that's awesome." That was really nice of Torey to say that. It's awesome. Torey's is like such a great guy. I know him and Jimmy are like, have a good relationship. But as for a ETA, I think he was working on it today. I don't know in terms of when it would be released, if it's like tomorrow, Wednesday, whatever, but
he's probably taking extra care. He can't make any mistakes on this one. Torey's watching. The world is watching. There's a lot of pressure on this one. This is a big game for him.
Absolutely. The whole state of Arizona is counting on him to get this right. Torey said he's not going to help him out either. His words, not ours. He said, I'm not giving him anything. Yeah. So it would be awesome if he nails like everything. He nails it like to the T.
me and this guy, me and Kevin are still fascinated by the fact of Jimmy texting managers to just double check what they said. And I'm sure it's not every manager, right? But still, the fact he has that kind of relationship with Torey, and that Torey reciprocates the love. Like, he really loves watching that stuff, and he loves the stuff you guys do over there, man. He really does.
I will say Jimmy crushes that stuff. Like, there are so many great content creators we have that cover the league of baseball. And so Jimmy with the lip readings, like, he's the guy in that realm that crushes it. And so it's really cool to see other professionals in baseball appreciate the work that he does and our company does. It's really cool.
Well, I'll tell you this. I got to give you guys a lot of credit, because the most important thing you guys do, and it's something we try to do, is you guys make baseball more fun. And baseball is a lot about stats. It's a lot about, numbers and things like that, despite the fact that it's just this weird game of people hitting a ball with a stick, right? And running around in a diamond-shaped pattern. But like, they like to, almost make it very, very statistical. And like, you guys do that too. You do a great job of that, but you always bring the fun, and you always remind us that, like, this is a kid's game and we should all view it through those eyes at times. So we appreciate you very much, and appreciate the fine work Jimmy's doing on that lip reading. But thank you again for your time, man. We always love having you here.
Oh, likewise. I appreciate you letting me be on, talk some Snakes ball. It's awesome. I look forward to every Monday talking. It's awesome.
Thank you, buddy. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it.
See ya. Oh, Dalton's the best, and those guys over there are the best. I'm not joking when I say this. Like, I was a Jomboy fan a long time before I got to work for this particular outlet, and the thing that brought me so much joy was the idea of what Saul and Espo's vision for us was. And that was very much in line with what those guys do over there. So it's always a very, very exciting thing to be able to make anything more fun, and especially baseball. Like baseball, I've always loved baseball my entire life, but I do feel like at times all this numbers, all this statistics, they can get in the way of remembering that it's this ridiculous game that we love to watch. So we will talk more about ridiculous stuff. And of course, that is your Mailbag Monday questions on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Of course, if you are a brand looking to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, you got to look to Branded Bills. They have wonderful hats. So even if you're not a brand, if you're just a hat aficionado like myself, go out there, check out the wonderful line of hats. They have U of A, ASU, they got Suns hats, and all sorts of partnerships with sports teams. But more importantly, they can have a partnership with your company if you are looking to make some custom gear. Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. You can start your order and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They are a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona, and they are a wonderful company to work with. Head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 20% off your first order. That is code BBPHNX for 20% off your first order. Also, Circle K, talk about wonderful brands. Circle K is the brand. It is the place to go. Circle K's snacks are superior to all other snacks. I probably shouldn't be saying this. I probably shouldn't be dogging other snacks, but I can't help it because you pass by the Circle K snacks because you see the name brand ones you know, you love, you may have had before, but I guarantee you, go to the Circle K version of those snacks and experience the delight that Circle K has to offer. I don't know, it's just a higher quality of snack under their own label. So make sure to check out all the wonderful things they have. Join the Inner Circle right now. If you haven't done so already, you'll get your first 5 Polar Pops for absolutely free. You also save 25 cents off per gallon. On your next 5 fill-ups, you'll save 3 cents per gallon every single day. After that, they have Inner Circle Fuel Days where you will save 40 cents per gallon and you can enter to win all sorts of contests. Plus, right there in your Inner Circle app, they have specific deals for you every single day. All you got to do is join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Derek, real quick on the Circle K thing, I'm touring townhomes. I'm looking for a new place to live, right? So if you're looking for a roommate, no, I'm kidding. I was touring a place and they had a Circle K right across the street, and I actually didn't love the apartment, but I loved the proximity of Circle K. So it's still on my list. I can't lie.
Right. You don't mark that one off because you're like, how often do you have a Circle K essentially in the lobby of the place where you live, right?
And I lived next to a Circle K in college, and it was so clutch.
Yeah.
Also a little dangerous. Had a lot of snacks.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I missed it. Circle K is the place to be.
Right. I will say, like, one of the things that made me feel the luckiest in the world is after I purchased my home, they built a public library very close to my home, and while my wife was pregnant with our daughter. Can I tell you the joy as a parent that you get when you were like, they're building a public library right by my house?
This neighborhood's investing in education?
Yeah. Right? Like, it's wild. It was wild. But yes, no, I mean, I tend to not leave the proximity of my little world too often. So I love when stuff pops up around me. And yes, if you're choosing a place to live, you gotta choose correctly.
Gotta know the neighborhood.
Yeah,
gotta know the neighborhood.
Sure. And Mike Montoya, you're absolutely right. Circle K over 7-Eleven all day long. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm just going to.
It's implied. I feel like why not just say it?
You're not going to get any.
It's like the Stephen A. You're not wrong, but did you have to say it? I think we might have had to say it.
I don't think we had to say it, but what we do have to say is, you know what today is, and you know every year on this very good podcast, exceptional podcast, the number 2 podcast in all of Arizona. We're coming for your Burns and Gambo. But of course, what you get here is that every year on this podcast is the year of the snake. Every month on this podcast is Black History Month. Every month on this podcast is Women's History Month. And of course, every single month on this podcast is Black Women's History Month. Every week is for the Sharks because it's Shark Week. Every day is for the Earth because it's Earth Day. But on Mondays, it's for you. It's for the mailbag. It is Mailbag Monday. Kevin, let's go.
Mailbox. Always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go, wow, wow, my mailbox.
All right, Kevin, what do we got in the mailbag today?
Can I kick it off with a fun one before we get to the baseball stuff?
Let's go. Yeah, please.
In the chat, we were having a little discussion about the kids game thing and how baseball is a kids game.
It's a kids game.
Is baseball the best kids game?
Ooh.
I countered with kickball.
Kickball is pretty good, but kickball still has all of the yes, kickball is more fun because of contact, right? You're not getting somebody that can actually pitch out there throwing, or maybe someone throwing a softball entirely too fast. You're not getting someone that can't swing a bat, like just wildly swinging away and not making contact. I think most people can make contact with kickball. I would venture to say 4 square.
Ooh.
because
Deep cut.
Foursquare was legitimately, there were lines at my elementary school for Foursquare. And Foursquare, the simplicity of it, simply being able to smack a ball with two hands into some sort of bounded area is fairly simple. So that one is very good. But kickball is definitely a good one for sure. And of course, tetherball is also great. The problem with tetherball is size.
Correct.
In elementary school specifically, a sixth grader can literally be 4.5 feet taller than another sixth grader. I've seen it with my own eyes. So you're not beating that person at tetherball. They're just going to big brother you in that situation, and it's not going to be very fun.
I feel like Heads Up 7-Up is in the well, listen, I feel like it's in the playoffs as like a team that you know is going to get eliminated in round 1.
Yeah.
But it's in the playoffs.
Yeah, because
it's in the playoffs.
It's cheating.
Exactly.
It's a notorious game for cheaters.
No physicality.
Yeah, exactly.
Like not a high level of skill involved.
Exactly. You'll have people trading off and picking their friends just because they can pick each other. No, I'm not good with that. Quiet ball on rainy days wasn't terrible. Quiet ball was pretty good. Sitting on your desk, throwing a foam ball around.
It's hard for me to be quiet, so
I'm not. Trust me, I'm Puerto Rican. Look at all this Puerto Rican stuff I'm wearing. It's not in my DNA. All right, what do we got, Kevin? What do we got in the mailbag today?
First up, Travis wants to know, how do we fix Gallen? Also, sorry for missing the past Mailbag Mondays, job transition, plus prepping to move in the whole family to Minnesota.
Oh, Travis.
Minnesota.
Home of the Juicy Lucy. Yes. I will say go check out First Wrestling there. That's something I definitely would suggest. And also, I don't know how to fix Zac Gallen. I really think that Zac Gallen needs to fix Zac Gallen. Perhaps an IL stint at this point wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, just to give him a rest. Maybe not an IL stint, but similar to what you did with Corbin Burns, maybe a time off through the rotation. I don't know if the Diamondbacks necessarily have the players for that. Their depth has been kind of shrunk into a point that and I know we have a lot of Zac Gallen questions here, but Zac is going to need to be in there as long as he's healthy. I really think that maybe I don't know if it's perhaps something you can do with the catcher catching him. I felt like the feedback that Zac Gallen gave in regards to Jose Herrera was fairly positive, and it sounded like Gallen liked working with Herrera behind the plate. So maybe there's a little bit of a key there. Moreno did catch Gallen in that game, so perhaps maybe pairing Herrera with Gallen. I don't know. I want to say that it really does feel like it's just him falling behind in the count and doing it consistently throughout the night. Like Dalton said, there's a huge difference in Gallen's numbers and every pitcher's numbers. I'm not going to act like that's not the case. It just feels like Gallen's falling behind more than he ever has. Mark, a lot of you seem to agree with me. Michael says it's Gabby. Mark says, I think it's the combo of Herrera and mechanics. And then, Connor says, use Herrera as Gallen's personal catcher. See how that goes. I mean, sometimes that's the recipe for success. And if you've seen that relationship foster positive results, then you should go that way regardless of the fact that, you might miss Gabby's bat in the lineup, right? That's something you sacrifice. Jose Herrera has been just fine this year. He's not been great, but he's had some pretty good games offensively, and I think he can still provide you with something. But I think if Zac Gallen is on, you don't need a lot of offense. So perhaps you sacrifice that to get him on. And people seem to agree with that. I like that. We're all in agreement. We all assess the problem. It's Herrera, right? Get Herrera in there. All right, what else we got?
Next up, Tan wants to know, are you more concerned about Gallen or the bullpen going forward?
I'm definitely more concerned about the bullpen. I am so concerned about the bullpen because right now, as it stands, we don't know when we're going to get AJ Puck back. We don't know, exactly how we expect, certain guys to pitch. Right now, they put a lot of pressure on Jalen Beeks, on guys like, Kevin Ginkel, on Ryan Thompson, on Shelby Miller. Those are guys that really weren't expecting to be, aside from Ginkel, key members of this bullpen this year, and they have performed well. I mean, Beeks still, even after giving up those 4 earned runs, has a 3.52 ERA. You got, Graveman coming in and pitching decently. He has a 3 ERA. Like, there's some key components here that, again, were added late or possibly weren't going to be a part of this team that have helped, but they've also been kind of outperforming our expectations when it comes to that. So when those guys that have been relied upon so much kind of come back down to earth, I don't know who's going to step up in this bullpen. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it almost feels like it's inevitable. It feels like that's what we saw there on Saturday night for Jalen Beeks a bit, because he's been fairly, outstanding for this team, considering, their need for a lefty and their kind of dire straits they're in without Joe Mantiply performing this season. So I'm definitely more concerned about that, because I feel like we've seen glimpses out of Zac Gallen. It's just consistency, right? We've seen some great performances from Gallen, just figuring out how to get him to do that, or at least, a little better than 5 innings and 6 earned runs on a regular basis, right? So, and I think everybody expects Gallen to go out there and be able to give you 6 innings and 3 earned runs every single time or better. And right now he's just not able to do that. So I feel it's still inside of him, and I feel like he can get back on track easier than the bullpen, which right now feels like, as they continue to lean on one side, then that side kind of gets weak, and then they have to lean on another side. I just don't know how long it's sustainable. Hopefully the return of some of those guys from the IL will be a big lift for this bullpen when they come back. All right, Kevin, what else we got?
Next up, Drew Griffith. Do they trade Gallen by the deadline? Also, shout out to the Andy Griffith show.
Okay.
Drew Griffith, Andy Griffith, you get it.
That was not, I'm sure, like, that's something that I would expect to come out of my old mouth. Like, that was pretty senior citizen.
I know
level
game.
Of
No game.
Not only that, but it was identifying just some show with a random nickname like that. That was.
I used to watch that show growing up.
I mean, most of us did, but most of us are also in our 40s
exactly,
or older.
Yeah,
so that's a little different for you, Kevin. I will say that I don't know. I think that the big problem here is that what is Gallen's value going to be before the trade deadline? What are you going to get in return for him? I do feel confident in saying what most of you feel, which is that I don't think, like, if I was a betting man, which I am, I would put my money on Zac Gallen not being a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks after this season, right? So from that aspect, what do you get by keeping him on? Well, you're a team that has, some pretty big aspirations to once again get to the playoffs and go on a magical run. Can you do that without Zac Gallen? What's the return going to be? What's the replacement going to be for Gallen? Even if Gallen is inconsistent, the fact that he can lock in and give you what he's given you against every time he plays a New York team, for instance, then that is entirely too valuable, considering that he can do that at any point, right? So I just don't know if the return for Zac Gallen is going to be significant enough to make that move, nor do I know if you want to not have him be a part of your postseason roster should you make the postseason. Now, I will say, if the Diamondbacks kind of dwindle in mediocrity and find themselves around 500 and not maybe close to a wild card spot or close to, making the playoffs by the trade deadline, then that might be different. But I do know that at this point, if the Diamondbacks do have any kind of dreams in their heads about playing in the postseason, that Gallen is going to hopefully be a big part of that plan and going to be needed for those playoff series. So, but Steven Bananas disagrees. He says, given Gallen's postseason record, I'm happy to trade him and get something for him. Yeah, I don't know. I still think Zac Gallen is entirely too valuable to get rid of, but we'll see. We'll see what happens as the season progresses, because it's not, I don't think that that's off the table. Let's put it that way. It all depends on the offer. Let's get one more in, and then we got to talk about the ball knower bonus over at PHNX. So what do we got, Kevin?
Before the ball knowers, we got a ball knower. Jacob Schultz. Should I be more mad we lost to the Rockies 14-12?
Yes.
Gino had 4 homers and we lost.
Yes.
Or we scored 10 runs in an inning and lost to the
Yes.
Cubs. Tell me how to feel.
I don't know how to feel. I don't. I've never seen epic collapses like this from this team. It takes me back to that Brewers game from last year. And that's the crazy thing about it, Kevin. That Brewers game hurt us so bad. That Brewers game was so wild and such an epic meltdown by this team that, like, it's seared into our memory. Yet that was like a one-off last year. There were a couple of other times I still think about that Braves series early on that the Diamondbacks were up, I believe, in every game in that series. I've been saying that, at least. I got to double check that if I'm going to continue to push that narrative. But I will say that one was so bad that I feel like we are going to think about it for a very long time. Those are happening entirely too much to this team, and I feel like that's what we had just happen right now. Is we've had some epic collapses. I don't know if Saturday's was as much of an epic collapse. I mean, that one was just kind of messy all the way around. And despite the fact the Diamondbacks did have a significant lead, that one was a pretty significant collapse too. 7-8 runs in the 6th inning or later, I believe, is something you could categorize as an epic collapse. Yeah, 8 runs from the 6th inning on by the Rockies, only 1 from that point by the Diamondbacks. So that one against especially a bad team like the Colorado Rockies will probably stick in our memory for the last time. I don't want to rank those losses. I think they're all very bad, but I will say what I said earlier when Dalton was bringing it up, and at least the Cubs team is a good Cubs team. This Cubs team has done it multiple times to other teams. This Rockies team doing this to the Diamondbacks is an outlier for everybody. Well, not the Diamondbacks as much, but definitely an outlier for the Rockies. And I think this one probably hurts the most, despite the fact that we won the series. I think that's what feels pretty bad. Mark says Geno 4-homer lost felt like losing a no-hitter. Yeah, that's a great point. It definitely felt like losing a no-hitter. And Mark is a ball knower. And if you are a ball knower, then you can get down on our ball knower bonus, which is for this series for the Dodgers. Excuse me. Forget the Colorado Rockies. They're in the past. Now we're taking on the Dodgers. And of course, if you want to win a gift card to the PHNX merch store, all you got to do is make your pick correctly. It's very easy. You click the link in our description and then you make your pick. And of course, all you got to do is place an order in the ALLCITY store for $25 or more. And there are some great selections in there. This counts for sale items as well. The only requirement is that you meet a minimum of $25 or more. If you pick correctly, then you will get a gift card to the merch store for the same amount as your original order. You must click the link in the chat, and I believe one of the first things that will come up will be the ball knower bonus asking you which team you're going to select, the Diamondbacks or the Dodgers for tonight's series. So again, all ball knowers, make your pick, then place an order. If you pick correctly, you're going to get a gift card from us for the same amount as your order. That's the ball knower bonus from PHNX. Again, all on sale items are eligible for this promotion, so long as the total value of the order is $25 or more at checkout. All right, Kev, we got some more questions in the mailbag, sir.
A never-ending bag is what I got. Year of the Snake, Yoshi. What is the likelihood the Dodgers are very angry tonight and our run differential looks like a disaster after tonight?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's start with the fact that I do feel like the Dodgers are going to be like a hornet's nest that kind of got prodded with a stick. However, I don't think that the Dodgers took the Angels lightly. I think back to about, again, what fellow ball knower Dalton Feely was saying earlier. The Dodgers have just not had a lot of success with their starting pitching and their relief pitching. It's just been bad over this stretch. I mean, they do have some good components to that, Yamamoto being one of them, being one of the best pitchers in baseball. But outside of him, their ERA from their starters doesn't look great. And really what's keeping them in any of their games has been their offense, their ability to score late. The Dodgers are just unbelievably clutch with the talent that they have over there. But yeah, he's right, because right now the Diamondbacks have a run differential of +3. And I'm going to just guess that after this series, it probably doesn't look great. But I still believe in the Diamondbacks being able to go into Los Angeles and take 2 out of 3. I think that right now what the Dodgers are dealing with is reality, right? Which is the fact that they have some guys that are injured. They have some guys returning from injury that aren't super sharp. Their pitching hasn't been great. And again, they do have lots of options for pitchers, but it feels like at times that they have this ever-changing landscape of pitching for both their bullpen and their starting rotation. They have the assets to do so. However, it doesn't really feel like they've been able to solidify anything firmly this season. It's a good thing. And hopefully the Diamondbacks are catching them at the right time, right? We kind of joked about this guy's Cardinals and how hot they've been, and how, of course, this is when the Diamondbacks will be catching them coming up.
However, go Birds.
Maybe this is a good time to catch the Dodgers. Maybe it isn't the fact that they're going to be angry and that they're going to take it out on the Diamondbacks. Maybe they're just not playing good baseball right now, and the Diamondbacks can take advantage of that. I'm going to go in that direction and hope that that's the case. However, I tend to fear the other foot dropping at times, especially when you see the Dodgers get swept by their rival Los Angeles Angels. At least that one makes a little more sense. What else we got in the bag? Let's go.
You know, Damon Dog is not here, chat, right now. I mean, he's here. He's back from his sabbatical, wherever the hell he went.
Mr. Vacations is back.
But he did bring up a very good point before we went live today about during his trip to Los Angeles, and I don't want to step on it too much because he did talk about it on Wildcats, and I'm sure next time he's on, you guys will reference it.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to bottle this one up, and we're going to talk about it on Dbacks After Dark, but I would love for you to give it a tease.
Yes, great tease. Derek mentioned the rivalry of sorts between the Angels and the Dodgers. I'm doing air quotes for those that can't see. Yeah. Let's just say in the Angels ballpark, maybe the rivalry doesn't exist. Maybe it's a brotherhood. Who knows? Yeah, we'll find out more about that on Dbacks After Dark.
Merch, and Damon was furious about it, and I'm sure he's going to scream a lot of F-bombs on After Dark about it, so make sure to not miss that for him. But I don't know. I mean, that one, at least, what I will say is at least it's not like you went to the Seattle Mariners game and there was a lot of Ohtani stuff or a Mets game or something like that.
He is a team legend.
He is a team legend, and sometimes it's, especially in the case of a guy choosing to leave for $1 billion, you're like, well, we weren't going to give you that, so go on, get your bag. We appreciated you being here, and we'll miss you. And again, I think that it's hard sometimes when you develop a love for a player to have that love die simply because they now change the laundry that they wear when they play baseball and which team they play for, right? But in the Los Angeles case, it's even worse because a lot of those people that might still somehow inexplicably be Angels fans deep down inside, they have to deal with him still being in their city. He didn't leave anywhere. He's just there, and they just have to watch him play for another team. So I can understand how you still wouldn't be sad about that. Let's see. Steven Bananas says, we still sell Randy Johnson's jersey even though he went to the Giants. I will say that Randy Johnson's jersey is still the most worn jersey I see at Chase Field every single night, no matter
He also won stuff.
Yeah, he did win stuff.
He won huge stuff.
It's called the World Series.
Only thing Shohei won was his money line bets and his spread bets and his home run props. Yeah. That's all he won, and I'm done being Damon for now.
Good job. Well done. I think Damon would appreciate you.
Lock him up!
Channeling the inner him. All right, well, before we go on to more questions, I think we should make an official declaration of overtime. Is it an overtime situation? I think we're going into overtime because we are not going to get this wrapped up here by 3 o'clock. But if you are watching over on TV or your chosen app, make sure to join us and go PHNX.com. We'll be continuing the discussion with Mailbag Monday questions, and there's a good chance I'm going to throw this. I'm putting it on. I'm putting it on right now. It's a good chance I'm going to throw it on. I'm going to throw it on. Yada mean.
Yada mean.
All gas, no brakes. This might be how I just wear it in general. Hip hop style or crisscross style. What do we got? Let's go on to the next question.
JJ wants to know, Evan Longoria announced his retirement. What's your favorite Longo moment as a Diamondback?
Oh man, first of all, that makes me sad because that is end of a road for a great baseball player that has been, I don't know, like I feel like the entire time I've been covering baseball, Evan Longoria has been like a legend in the game, not just playing the game, but the entire time I've been covering it, I feel like he's been the guy. He's been a guy. So yeah, that's an end of a pretty great moment. But I will say my favorite Evan Longoria moment besides, okay, this is a toss-up. First, I'm going to have to go Game 1 of the National League Wild Card Series in 2023, where he made the incredible diving catch and double play to get out of the bases loaded jam there against the Milwaukee Brewers. That's it. That's the one, the catch in Milwaukee. You guys are all saying it. Connor says got to be the double play in Milwaukee. However, as some of you may remember, after the Diamondbacks moved on to the World Series, Evan Longoria was filmed in the clubhouse not wearing a shirt and drinking champagne and I believe smoking a cigar. And shortly after that, one Damon dog, I'm not going to blame it on Damon, but I'm going to say he falsely advised me that it was a good idea while we played that clip from the clubhouse to take off my own shirt and do the rest of the show shirtless. So that's an episode. That's the reason why we have the rule. That's rule number 6 on the wall here at PHNX. It says hosts can no longer take their shirts off during a live broadcast. That one's on me. So for me personally, that one might be a little bit more of a favorite moment for me. But it's also just because my nipples were out, That's why, Kevin. That's why it's a great moment for me. What else we got? Let's
free those things. Free those things. Flea ball. Do we need to put super glue in Naylor and Perdomo's batting helmets?
No, we don't.
Question mark.
No, I love that their hats come off. I love that their helmets come off. I feel like it exudes emotion. I feel like it makes things more exciting. What about you, Kevin?
I mean, I feel like super glue on any sort of helmet would. What are we talking about? I feel like you're setting people up for not only failure but pain.
Yeah.
So yeah, let the hats fly.
Yeah. I'm down for letting the hats fly. I do not want to. I don't want to chin strap these. I don't want to keep them on in any way specifically because I feel like, especially Corbin, when Corbin's helmet comes off, it doesn't really come off. It disintegrates the way that like a spacecraft disintegrates when it's re-entering the Earth's orbit, right? It's just due to his speed. You see it like melt off of his face.
Release the pod for proper aerodynamic features. Yeah.
It's great. And that's why we can't do anything about those falling off. My apologies to you for that, sir. What else we got?
Next up, Corbin Carroll enthusiast, purple version. Who would win in a 100-meter race? Josh Naylor with a 15-meter start or Corbin Carroll?
That's a ridiculous question.
Come on, son.
The answer is Corbin Carroll. You could give in a 100-meter race Josh Naylor a 50-meter start, and Corbin Carroll's still going to smoke him.
75?
You could give him the same lead that the Atlanta Braves give fans to the Freeze, and he is still going to defeat him in a foot race. Like, I don't feel like Corbin Carroll would ever take an actual foot race not seriously. I feel like Corbin Carroll is the kind of guy that even if he was coaching a little league camp, he would still make sure he beat all of the kids in a foot race just because you need to show them kids sometimes, right?
No, totally. Corbin Carroll strikes me as the kind of guy who's been the fastest his whole life. Like, whatever grade he was in, he was probably the fastest guy in the grade. And I think we all remember elementary school. We were talking about the games earlier. Field day, whoever was the fastest had the most pride.
Oh yeah.
So I think Corbin Carroll probably calls back to his childhood and just those ingrained memories of being the fastest equals being the coolest.
We tried to tear our ACLs for a ribbon, brother. You know? For a ribbon.
Why'd you go all like attitude era on me there? We used to tear our ACLs at field day, brother. You don't even know, taking these easy bumps.
I'm just saying, the things we used to do for ribbons, you don't know about the stuff we used to do for ribbons back in the field day. Actually, like full on actual tug of war. Like when I say war, I mean it was homeroom classes hating each other over these points and over the tug of war.
We once had like a kickball draft and like feelings were hurt. Like between classes, we used to do class versus class.
Yeah.
And then one class was clearly better than the other class. And so we needed to pick our best players. They, the whole thing. Feelings were hurt. But yeah, you got to take that stuff seriously. Pride is always involved.
Feelings are always hurt. Shut up. Piece of Yoshi says, Derek, we get it. You're 43. You idiot. I'm not 43. I'm 44, you moron. So ha ha ha. The joke's on you. What else we got?
Yeah, you got to get to your Matlock.
Wait, hold on. Let's go one more quick because I know the next one's very similar. Let's go one step back. In regards to the Josh Naylor Corbin Carroll
the race.
Okay, here's what I will say. Josh Naylor has sneaky speed. That's why he's so successful on the base path when it comes to stealing bases. Josh Naylor knows he's going to steal the base the whole time, and there's no stopping him. He knows he's going to do it, but he's just waiting for his perfect opportunity to pounce. Now, if Josh Naylor hit Corbin with the surprise race, and he had a 15-meter lead, then I think he'd have a chance. Like, I'd feel like Corbin would need to momentarily stretch out a hamstring real fast or whatever, and then that would give Josh the advantage to get the sneaky win.
Yeah, no, he's like, hey, first one to the whatever is a rotten egg. And Corbin's he takes that half second to be like, wait, am I racing? Oh my God, I'm racing.
Yeah, that's
and then
exactly what it is. Last one to the bus is a rotten egg is the only way that Josh Naylor is winning that foot race. All right. Let's get another Josh Naylor related question in here. I can't get enough.
J-Mart enthusiast. Who could eat more hot dogs in an hour? Josh Naylor or Eugenio Suarez?
Okay, so the obvious answer is Josh Naylor here.
Is it though?
It really is, because I'm going to tell you right now that Gino would spend too much time. He's not going to take the hour seriously. He's not going to. Gino might step it up when he realizes that Josh has a lead late. That might be where Gino gets serious. But Gino's going to joke with people. He's going to be like Josh is going to take it seriously to a point that you're going to fear for Josh's health. Afterwards, you're going to be like Josh is going to be the kind of guy that isn't a professional eater, but he'll dunk his hot dog in water in this contest. He'll be one of those guys.
Bad move, by the way.
Well,
If you watch our Rising podcast, they did a hot dog eating contest with
To
Reese.
this day, it was the worst decision he's ever made in his
Dunked
life.
it in the water, immediately upchucked. Disgusting.
Yeah, no. Mark Solera brings up a good point. Is this on Canadian soil or American soil?
American.
Well,
Duh.
I'm just saying.
This is a glizzy competition.
Is it on night? I mean, if it's
Not a
Niagara
poutine
Falls,
competition.
on the other side of the. I'm just saying, on the other side of the.
Do they even
falls.
sell hot dogs in Canada? I don't
That's-
even know.
That's got to be racist. That's got to be racist. I don't know. That's got to be something. Of course, everybody enjoy. You know who loves hot dogs besides Americans? Everybody. Okay, everybody. Hot
Correct.
dogs are great.
Correct.
No, I will say that Gino would be surprising. I think there would be a moment where Gino either let his hair down or ties it up.
You gotta go up, right?
Yeah, well, because that's what I mean. Like
He's
Gino
showing
would
up
be there
relaxed.
smiling. He'd be eating hot dogs, like having conversations with people, and then Josh would just be taking it seriously for the whole hour, like nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CWP is saying Leah's gonna come get me over that hot dog take.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then we're gonna put ketchup on it. That's
I'm
what
more
we're
so
gonna do.
just
That's
saying
the
like hot dogs,
Bobber
glizzies.
Craig.
That's an American delicacy right there. Yeah.
Kevo, Stephen Bananas has a question for you.
Kevo, I have a mailbag question. Since Derek is 44, how many days off with load management does Derek need on this show? Oof. Honestly, I think we're looking at we have a set rotation. He goes 5 days a week, and if he can go on a weekend, we throw him. Otherwise, he's not an up down. He's either fully on or he's fully off. I think we get the Saturday, Sunday off days. You hit it on a Monday, full energy for the mailbag, and then by Friday he's throwing dust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got to rest him
Yeah.
on Saturday, Sunday.
You guys have heard the condition of my voice by Friday on a 10 p.m. post-game show. Like, it's non-existent, right? And yeah, no, Steven, I need a medical expert in here to assess this because right now I just have the coaches pushing me hard every single day. There's no days off. I'm trying to take a vacation to Puerto Rico. Who's going to fill in for me? Who's going to start? Who's going to be in the rotation? Without me, it all falls apart. It all falls apart. So I don't know, but I will be back. I will be back with another post-game show tomorrow, and joining us will be one Jesse Friedman to break down tomorrow game 2 of the series against Los Angeles Dodgers. So make sure to join us for that. We're going to have a blast doing so. Hopefully, I know Jesse's record isn't great for showing up on post-game shows.
In fact, I think it's awful.
Hopefully we can turn that around, but I'll tell you this much. You guys turned my day around, whoever sent me this wonderful Serpientes jersey, and I will find you. I will hunt you down, and I will not stop looking until I figure out who did this and who's responsible. Which one of you monsters are so nice that you sent me this wonderful gift. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll still be on there hanging out and getting into arguments about cereal. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. This monster is at Kevo Posts. He's trying to still bring me any kind of proof.
Listen.
He brought
Chat.
me Damon.
Can I throw him under the bus? Can I throw him under the bus?
Oh, please do.
Chat. I just want y'all to know the Damon dog you love so much. The Damon dog you can't wait to hear from again. He doesn't like cereal either.
Your precious little baby
So
Damon dog.
I would maybe take your Frosted Flakes and shove them, and that's all I have to say today.
Wow.
That's all I got to say today. That's all I got to say today.
gonna go
I got
eat.
Damon. That's all I need.
I'm going to go eat a bowl of Lucky Charms right now as we speak. So, of course, we appreciate you guys stopping by. I appreciate you for appreciating cereal and appreciating the Arizona Diamondbacks. Of course, like I said, we'll be back with another post-game show tomorrow night after the game, so make sure to join us for that. In the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful evening. Behave yourselves. Watch yourself a baseball game and cheer on the Snakes. Let's get the win tonight. And, of course, we'll see you tomorrow. Till then, have a wonderful evening. Behave yourselves, like I said. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you know that Josh Naylor will definitely eat way more hot dogs than Eugenio Suarez in an hour.
We all silly like the mayor.